it has more chance to favor Chimaev because he's a very strong starter. But Dricus Plessis is a very good finisher. He's very good at the end in the deep waters, and he's very athletic. So if it goes later in a decision, it might go the other way.
What do you think? You have a pick or 50-50?
I know them both. I can't say that. They're gonna be pissed off. So I have an opinion, but I can't really share it.
With just less than 3 days left in the mega clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319, UFC legend Georges St-Pierre has shocked the MMA world with his thoughts about this matchup. However, apart from picking the favorite fighter, Georges St-Pierre says he's very excited for the matchup, calling it a clash of styles. He believes an early stoppage would likely favor Khamzat Chimaev, who's a strong starter, while Dricus du Plessis is dangerous in the later rounds and excels in deep waters. GSP adds that if the fight goes to a decision, it might favor du Plessis.
I am very excited, yeah, indeed. It's a clash of style, and it's very interesting.
I can't believe this fight is finally here, man. I'm so excited, you have no idea. Tell me your pick right off the bat. Tell me who you think is going to win.
Look, I think if it's an early stoppage, it has more chance to favor Chimaev because he's a very strong starter. But Dricus du Plessis is a very good finisher. He's very good at the end in the deep waters, and he's very athletic. So if it goes later in a decision, it might go the other way. So it could go both sides.
The UFC legend Georges St-Pierre said he does not underestimate Dricus du Plessis' wrestling, noting that he is very strong, likely has a judo background and possesses a solid base. He also refused to overlook Khamzat Chimaev's striking, calling it very good. GSP stressed that both fighters are well-rounded athletes who can win in unexpected ways, rather than being limited to the classic striker versus grappler label. While Chimaev's specialty remains wrestling and submissions, he believes either man has the power to knock the other out.
But I don't underestimate Dricus du Plessis wrestling. I think he's very strong. Yeah, I think he did judo before. He's got a strong base. So, and Chimaev, I don't underestimate his striking either, because Chimaev have a very good striking. So they both can win in very unexpected ways. You know, people has a tendency to say, "Oh, this guy is a grappler, this guy is a striker." That's not what this fight is. This fight are two athletes, very well-rounded, that gonna fight each other. Of course, they have specialty. Especially in Chimaev's case, he's very good in wrestling and submission as well, but they both can knock each other out.
Georges St-Pierre also believes Khamzat Chimaev could win if he controls his emotions, as emotions can cause a fighter to waste too much energy. He believes Chimaev is underrated and more skilled than many realize, with the ability to catch Dricus du Plessis early using his inverted katagatame in a scramble. However, he also sees a scenario where du Plessis survives the early danger, wears Chimaev down, and wins in the later rounds.
I think this, George. Let me tell you what I think. If Chimaev controls his emotions, he's going to win.
Could be, because emotion sometimes makes you spend too much energy. But on the other side, it's true, but Dricus du Plessis, I think, is very underrated. He's much better than what people give him credit for. So it could go both sides. You know, Chimaev can go through, especially if he catch him with his very good inverted katagatame early on in the round. If he put him down and in a scramble, when Dricus du Plessis tried to stand up, he got caught in an inverted katagatame. I can see that happen, but I can also see Dricus wearing down Chimaev and surviving, and in the later round winning the fight. So both scenarios are possible.
Georges St-Pierre further admitted that Dricus du Plessis is a very good striker who hits hard, noting that Khamzat Chimaev is also dangerous on the feet. He believes both have knockout power, making the fight unpredictable and exciting. While many criticize du Plessis' striking style, Firas Zahabi appreciates it for its karate influence. GSP agrees, explaining that karate's unusual timing and movements can throw off opponents who are more accustomed to facing kickboxers or Muay Thai fighters.
Tell me what you think of DDP's striking style.
He's very good, very, very good, and he hits very hard. Chimaev too. Chimaev is a very good striker, so they both can knock each other out. So they both have power, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That's the most interesting fights, is when you don't know what's gonna happen.
A lot of people criticize DDP's striking style, but me, I like it. There's some karate in there, no?
Yeah, it's karate, and I think it's very unusual because most people in UFC, they used to fight and see kickboxers and guys from Muay Thai background, but karate look, I did karate myself, so I know that it's it set off a lot of time my opponent because we use different timings and different moves that they're not used to see.
When asked who is physically stronger, Georges St. Pierre said strength is specialized. In his view, Chimaev might have more wrestling and takedown driving strength, while du Plessis could have the edge in body-to-body pushing, pulling, and lifting strength.
Especially in Chimaev's case, he's very good in wrestling and submission as well, but they both can knock each other out.
I'm gonna ask you another impossible question. Who's physically stronger, Chimaev or DDP?
I think strength is very it's very specialized. I think in terms of wrestling, takedown, driving, strength could be Chimaev. But I think if they lock body to body, I think could be the DDP. You know, pushing, pulling, like more lifting strength. I think it could be DDP. I think more applicable, like for wrestling strength, it could be Chimaev.
Meanwhile, Dricus du Plessis says fans have only seen a fraction of what he can truly do, as he is still growing into his full potential. He credits experience and ongoing improvement for transforming him since his debut, and emphasizes his commitment to sharpening every part of his skill set in the pursuit of an ideal performance, even if perfection can never be fully achieved.
Then again, I'm not fighting at perfect. I'm fighting at a 6 out of 10 here. I'm still far away from giving the performance that I know I can. I'm far away of being the striker that I know I can be, the wrestler and the grappler. You know, when you get into fights, because of situations, you know, the fighter that I know I can be, how I can strike, it's difficult to do it in a fight. But you know, as my career goes, the Dricus that made his debut versus Dricus that fought the last time, it's two very different people, and I keep evolving and getting better, and that's why I feel I'm chasing the perfect round, the perfect fight, doing everything to perfection in a fight. I think it's impossible, but it's worth chasing.
Dricus du Plessis acknowledges the hype around Khamzat Chimaev, admitting that the praise and recognition Chimaev receives is well earned. He describes Chimaev as a rare talent who lives up to his reputation. Still, du Plessis maintains that while Chimaev is undeniably great, his own abilities are far greater than many give him credit for.
Is he overrated in your opinion?
No. I think he's
worthy of all the praise. He's worthy of all the praise and everything that he receives.
Absolutely. I think Khamzat is a special fighter.
From the moment Dricus du Plessis first sees Khamzat Chimaev in the octagon, he believes Chimaev has the makings of a star. He recalls a long stretch when Chimaev is sidelined for nearly 2 years, making headlines more for constant trash talk and challenges across weight classes than for actual fights. Du Plessis says the endless callouts grow tiresome, yet he still rates Chimaev highly. However, he maintains that while Chimaev lives up to the hype, his own abilities surpass what most people expect.
From the first time I saw him fight, I knew this guy was going to be special, 100%. I knew he was going to be special. There was a stage where he didn't fight for like 2 years or something, and listen, he speaks a lot more than he fights, I can tell you that much too, but there was a long period of time he was calling out every single person. That just started getting annoying. It was annoying the shit out of me. He was calling out welterweights, middleweights, light heavyweights, but he wasn't fighting anyone. But there was never ever a stage where I went, this guy's overrated. No, he is as good as people think. I think he's as good as people think. I just think I'm a lot better than people think.
On the other hand, Michael Bisping acknowledged Dricus du Plessis' impressive record with major wins over Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whittaker. However, he viewed Khamzat Chimaev as a completely different challenge, an unpredictable, aggressive fighter who rarely slows down. Bisping felt Khamzat wouldn't be able to steamroll Dricus like he has others and questioned whether he could endure a full 5-round battle.
Dricus beat Strickland twice. Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, before that was Derek Brunson and Darren Till and Brad Tavares. It was definitely, I won't say a step up because Strickland was a champ and Israel was a long-time champ. But I do think Khamzat is a different kind of beast. You know, the question is, can he go 5 rounds? You know, I think he knows he can't expect to go out there and just get a hold of Dricus, ragdoll him to the floor, and face crank him, smash his teeth in like he did to Robert Whittaker, and walk away, you know. But the fun thing about Khamzat is that he'll try and do that. I don't think he has the ability to pace himself because he's never had and need to.
Michael Bisping describes Khamzat Chimaev as a relentless, all-out fighter who always moves forward. He calls him a true finisher, constantly pushing the pace and aiming to end fights by knockout or submission. Bisping highlights that Chimaev's aggressive style makes him one of the most dangerous fighters from the opening bell.
Khamzat Chimaev is a force of nature, and he only knows how to fight one speed, and that's why people really enjoy watching this guy fight. He goes forward, he's a straight-up killer, he's looking to take you down, do damage, knock you out, squeeze your head off. Whatever it is, he's trying to do damage right from the opening bell. And that's what he's done to almost everybody. 14 wins, 12 stoppages.
Mike Perry also described Dricus du Plessis as an awkward iron boulder with unexpectedly sharp skills. While most fans favor Khamzat Chimaev, Perry leans toward DDP, citing his strength, unorthodox style, and relentless pressure. He even pictured du Plessis securing a wild finish like jumping on Khamzat's back for a backpack-style submission.
Some people are like, oh, Khamzat all day. Some people are like, DDP all day. You know, Khamzat trains in like Sweden and like California, and Dricus trains in the trenches of Africa. I think DDP is just this awkward boulder. He's just an iron boulder. Khamzat has skills. He's gonna jump on the back. He's gonna pull some backpack.
Yeah, he's gonna like he tried on Rob, but I don't think you're gonna be able to, like you just said, dude. He is just like an iron boulder. Like, he's gonna survive. It's gonna end up being like the Gilbert Burns and Khamzat fight.
Mike Perry views Dricus du Plessis as a big, powerful, and fearless fighter who brings serious strength into the octagon. While he respects Khamzat Chimaev's skills and strategic approach, Perry believes Dricus' size and toughness would give him the edge in a matchup between them.
I think DDP's big and strong and scary-ish. Like, he's a good guy, but like when he's in that ring, he's really powerful. Chimaev lets us think he's not as smart as he is. He has game plans. Chimaev's been a terror in the UFC. He's really taken a lot of it over, and we're all excited to see him compete. DDP's been really humble, but very, very courageous, very strong. I think DDP wins if they fight.
On the other hand, Sean Strickland said Dricus du Plessis would have to be ready for Khamzat Chimaev's relentless ground pressure. He believed Dricus held the cage in striking but felt Chimaev's grappling was on another level. Strickland questioned if Dricus had ever faced that caliber of wrestling and warned it could disrupt his game. He added that if Dricus could handle that pressure, he would have a real chance to win.
So I sparred. I fought Dricus, I fought Dricus, Dricus has better stand-up than Chimaev, but Chimaev has a pretty crazy grappling. Now, I've been training with these fucking dadgy terrorists my entire fucking life, so it's like I train with these fuckers. I know how to get up from these guys. I can withstand the storm. I don't know if he's encountered that level of wrestling to where it might get him a little off guard, but if he could handle it, get up and work his way up. I mean, it's kind of hard because, it's a long time ago, but Brad took him down and held him down. Fuck, I should took him down. But Brad took him down and held him down. So it's like, he just really has to be ready for an extreme amount of pressure on the ground. And if he can withstand that, he's undefeated.
Sean Strickland recalled training with Khamzat Chimaev and shared moments that made him question Chimaev's mindset. He mentioned being present when Chimaev, after recovering from COVID, briefly considered retirement and said he mocked him for it during practice. Strickland claimed Chimaev often chose sparring partners who posed little threat, seeing it as avoiding real challenges. In his view, Chimaev lacked the mental toughness to thrive under pressure.
Chimaev is just a fucking cunt. I mean, I was here when he retired from COVID. I was training with him. Like, he's just a fucking cunt. It's like, if you knew, I always say there's guys, if you knew on a personal level you wouldn't like, Chimaev is one of those people if you knew you wouldn't like. He'll come in here. There's a video of me, I always like, oh, you're so good. Guns up, understand, you're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people. Like, I'm being sarcastic, like, bro, like, you go and you can starch this one-on-one guy when there's like Edmund, there's like high-level UFC fighters, and you're picking the one-on-one fighter because like you think he's the same height as your opponent. No, you're picking him because you're a bitch, dude. Like, it's just, yeah, he's just like, no, he could fight, but like mentally, he's just a weak man. You know, he's just a weak man.
Khamzat Chimaev responded to Sean Strickland's remarks by challenging him to a face-to-face confrontation now that he is back in the US. He accused Strickland of staying quiet when he was in Vegas and only speaking up after his visa issues. With Chimaev now in LA, he invited Strickland to meet if there was a real problem to solve.
I don't know, when I was there, they never said anything, you know. When I leave the Vegas and when they stopped my visa, we start to talk. When I come back, I'm in LA, bro. Come on. If it's something personal for you, just come. I'm here whenever you want.
Chimaev is just a fucking cunt. I mean, I was here when he retired from COVID, bro. I was training with him. Like, he's just a fucking cunt. I always say there's guys, if you knew on a personal level you wouldn't like, Chimaev is one of those people if you knew you wouldn't like. You're a bitch, dude. No, he could fight, but like mentally, he's just a weak man. You know, he's just a weak man.
Furthermore, former UFC champion Israel Adesanya picks Dricus du Plessis to win, most likely by a late finish. He acknowledges Khamzat Chimaev's skills, but believes his best chance comes early. Adesanya compares their styles, describing Dricus du Plessis as unpredictable in a positive, calculated way, while seeing Khamzat as more wild and dangerous in a darker sense. He views the fight as a battle between two very different kinds of chaos.
Not bad, but I still think Dricus gets it. I think just late finish, yeah, late finish. Khamzat would, yeah, I think Khamzat will, if he wins, it's the first 2 rounds, or the first round. But Dricus is just chaotic. Chaotic good, chaotic evil. That's literally what this fight might be, chaotic good versus chaotic evil.
Similarly, Paulo Costa leans slightly toward Dricus du Plessis, believing he is more stable and can survive Khamzat Chimaev's early aggression. He questions whether Khamzat can maintain his pace past the 3rd round, suggesting endurance could be the deciding factor.
It's hard to predict something, but I think Dricus is more solid. He can resist the very first rush from Chimaev, gourmet chain, and then we never know after the 3rd round how Chimaev can, you know, if he can sustain his energy after the 3rd round. So I think this is my question.
On the contrary, Curtis Blades picks Khamzat Chimaev to beat Dricus du Plessis, emphasizing that Khamzat combines dominating wrestling with real knockout power, as shown in his fight with Gilbert Burns. He believes Khamzat's ability to blend striking and grappling makes him especially dangerous and gives him the clear edge.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I'm gonna go with Khamzat. I think he's holding that Burns fight. He ain't just a wrestler. He can stand in the fire and delivers some heavy hands. And I think you blend that with the wrestling, just like Oliveira, he can do a little bit of open. I think that opens up either the wrestling or the striking. I think he's able to beat Dricus.
TJ Dillashaw also expresses strong confidence in Khamzat Chimaev ahead of the Dricus du Plessis fight, noting that past concerns have been addressed through key changes in Chimaev's training. With these adjustments, Dillashaw believes Chimaev will arrive in peak condition and deliver a dominant performance.
I saw that you worked with Khamzat Chimaev, so how involved were you in his camp for Dricus du Plessis?
Look, Chimaev's the better striker in my opinion, technically. He's by far the better grappler and has more strength and better jiu-jitsu. Like, DDP is non-stop pressure, he's awkward, and that awkwardness gets it done. I'd say the reason why Chimaev won't win is because of his cardio. I said that before. I introduced Armin to Sam Calavita, but now I've also introduced Chimaev to him. It's like Rocky style training. So Chimaev's doing it right now. I highly suspect he's gonna have an amazing gas tank for this next fight, and I think he's gonna get the win because of it. He's gonna be a killer, man. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, I highly believe he's gonna get the job done.
Henry Cejudo also admits Khamzat Chimaev has the skills to beat anyone in the world and is especially impressed by how easily he handles Robert Whittaker. He sees Dricus du Plessis as a much tougher test because of his non-stop pace and relentless pressure. Cejudo explains that DDP never fades, and if you're not prepared for 5 hard rounds, he will break you. He admits that he once thought DDP looked sloppy, but now recognizes that his high volume and tenacity make him a serious threat to anyone.
Does Khamzat beat DDP? Man, Khamzat could beat anybody in the world in about a round. It's super impressed with what he did to Robert Whittaker. I don't see that against DDP. DDP's scrambly, man. You're gonna need to really be able to pace yourself for 5 rounds. And with DDP's train just continue to keep rolling and he's still steaming and his train's still hot. It depends on how long DDP wants to take a break. You're gonna have to prepare, man, for a guy like DDP. You're gonna need a 3-rounder, a 5-rounder to get ready, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. I think DDP's too, I used to think he was the sloppiest thing on planet Earth, and I thought the same thing about Rob until they bring that volume and just the tenacity. It changes everything.
Moreover, Brendan Schwab describes Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis as a huge matchup, largely due to Dricus' size and resilience. He says an early finish from Khamzat would not be surprising, but he's most interested in seeing how Khamzat performs if the fight reaches the later rounds. Schwab highlights that both men bring something unique, with neither having faced an opponent quite like the other, which adds to the intrigue of the bout.
Khamzat's big, right? Khamzat's big. DDP's my size. I don't know if you know. Nowhere. You seen the picture of him in Bisping? Bisping's a big dude. DDP dwarfs big. DDP is walks around about 240. The first round, of course, if Khamzat wins, and if it ends before 2 rounds, it's Khamzat all day. I would extend that after seeing this to even the first 3 rounds. 4 and 5 is what I want to see. I want to see Khamzat in the 4th and 5th. And if Khamzat's lighting his ass up, because DDP is going to be tough to finish. So if Khamzat's in the 4th and 5th finish him, then you got one. So for Khamzat, it's going to be dealing with that mass.
Who has DDP fought that's even close to that style, that explosive, shoot from 10 feet out, grab you, not let go till he gets what he wants?
That's why it's a great fight.
Oh,
because DDP hasn't fought anybody like Khamzat, and Khamzat hasn't fought anybody like DDP.
Brendan Schwab calls Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev one of the most compelling matchups in middleweight history. He says it is difficult to predict the outcome given Khamzat's unbeaten run and du Plessis' rise as a proven contender in his prime. Schwab praises DDP's grit and unorthodox style, saying he always finds a way to win. He dismisses concerns about Khamzat's cardio, claiming he has seen firsthand how much it has improved in training and no longer views it as an issue.
My prisoner of the moment, I feel like DDP Khamzat is one of the greatest middleweight competitions to ever happen in the UFC. You got Khamzat undefeated, boogeyman, DDP already a middleweight great in a prime of his career. I have no clue how this is going to fold out. No clue. Gun to the head, DDP is so good, so durable, so big, and just finds a way to win. He's just an absolute winner. He's one of my faves. And he's so unorthodox. And they have Khamzat, this boogeyman. Obviously, cardio was an issue for him back in the day. I'm here to tell you now, I've personally, with these peepers, have seen the man train. Cardio is not an issue.
Brendan Schwab says the outcome depends on whether Khamzat Chimaev can secure takedowns early. If Khamzat fails to get Dricus du Plessis down within the first 2 rounds and starts to slow, Schwab believes DDP will finish him in the later rounds. He adds that he is especially curious to see what game plan Khamzat brings into the fight.
But that's all predicated on, let's say Khamzat goes in there and tries to get DDP down in the first 2 rounds and can't get it done, and he gets tired. DDP in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th will finish him, So I'm interested to see what Khamzat's game plan is.
Meanwhile, Jared Cannonier stays neutral, explaining that he no longer makes fight predictions. He acknowledges that both Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis possess top-tier skills, making the outcome unpredictable. For Cannonier, the excitement comes from watching 2 elite fighters compete rather than choosing a side.
I don't favor none of them. I don't favor anybody. I've come to the conclusion that I just can't not pick fights. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's nothing. Something that I never liked doing, but especially after the Adesanya fight, because I was pretty confident that Adesanya was going to be able to do what he was doing in the first round and win the fight. But he was doing what I thought he was going to be able to do, and still lost the fight. So both of those guys have tools, and I'm sure they're going to both employ their tools to the best of their ability. The question is going to see who's going to be the one to prevail. I don't know, but I'm excited to see.
So that's all we have from today's video, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about Khamzat versus DDP's matchup in the comments section, and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about their upcoming clash.